To be successful, you have to have your heart in your business and your business in your heart. With this word from Thomas Watson Sr., I welcome you to ATN Business. Time is precious, time is money, and this is the time for Money Talk on Atlantic Television Network. On ATN Business today, I want to first say good day, viewers, and welcome to a fresh episode of ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network right here in the city of Port Harcourt. This is the network's medium of bringing the happenings in the economy sector of the society to our discerning viewers. This program is aimed at bringing to the doorstep of the viewers the business, financial and economic activities from all strata of society. Its delivery is accentuated through the various stock exchanges across the world, news about government economic activities, private sector business activities, laced with expert opinions, stakeholder analysis, and correspondence report. And by the end of this show, you can be rest assured of being informed accurately of financial activities around the world. I am your host, Raymond Ken Bata. Now let's go for this short break, and when we return, we reel out the details for today. Please stay tuned.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Glad to have you back. On ATN Business today, on petroleum, petrol pump price should drop to 300 naira per litre, according to Koran. On insurance matters, written premiums of 8 insurance firms rise to 367.66 billion naira. In the global markets, Asian markets are mixed in trading and euro falls. And diesel price in Malaysia jumps by 50%. And now let's go to the details of the stories that we have for you today. The Nigerian Air Force says that the air component of Operation Delta Safe has destroyed 2 illegal refining sites situated along the banks of Imo River. A statement by Air Vice Marshal Edward Gapquet, the Director of Nigerian Air Force Public Relations and Information, said that the strikes were conducted barely hours after the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, conferred with Governor Alex Oti on the setting up of the Nigerian Air Force Base in Abia State. According to Gapquet, the illegal sites were located near Obiaku and in close proximity to the Imo and Abia, as well as Rivers State borders. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to enforcing insurance policy for mine workers in the country. According to a statement issued by the Minister's Special Assistant on Media, Shegun Tomori, he said that he disclosed this after representing President Bola Tinubu during a condolence visit to Niger State Governor Umar Bago in Mina, Alake, and conveyed the president's sympathies following the recent mine pit collapse in Galadima Kogo, Shiroro local government area. The minister said that the move was necessary to avert another incident or mitigate the impact of the mining pit incidents, which resulted in the entrapment of over 50 workers and fatalities. After that, on June the 3rd, a mining site at the Galadima Kogo community in Shiroro local government area of Niger State collapsed after a heavy downpour, trapping more than 20 workers, and 7 workers were rescued, while about 14 people were still trapped. This is coming after the Niger State Police Command said that a lack of equipment and heavy rocks stalled the rescue of the remaining workers trapped in the mining pits, adding that it was a step towards enhancing safety measures and provide relief to miners and their families in the event of accidents. He also spoke on federal government stance that remediation plans must accompany mining license applications, stating that irresponsible mining operations was posing threats to the environment and communities will no longer be tolerated. Don't forget, on ATN Business, we are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials, and you can connect with us and watch us on our ATN socials: Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network; Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1; on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Moving on, the pump price of premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, should drop to about 300 naira per litre upon the commencement of massive production by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other indigenous producers. Operators of modular refineries have stated on Sunday. However, they pointed out that this will be achieved when the government ensures that the provisions of adequate crude oil to local refiners, stressing that refineries abroad were ripping off Nigeria. Speaking under the aegis of Crude Oil Refinery Owners Association of Nigeria, Koran, they explained that what happened in the cost of diesel after Dangote started producing it will happen to petrol price once it is being produced massively in Nigeria. Koran is a registered association of modular and conventional refinery companies in Nigeria, and when told that there are arguments that it is not possible to have such a drop in price because crude oil the raw material for PMS, is priced in dollars. The Korean official insisted that petrol price will crash once it is being produced massively by indigenous refiners. He said that we are selling diesel for 1,700 naira to 1,800 naira per liter. But as soon as the Dangote refinery started producing, he brought down the price to 1,200 naira per liter. What other proofs do you need? As I speak to you now, there is every tendency that before December, diesel price will drop further. The only reason why diesel is not doing below 1,000 naira per liter is because of our exchange rate. If the exchange rate drops, diesel will drop below 1,000 naira per liter. And now the exchange rate concern is because Dangote imports crude. If he is not importing, the exchange rate may not have so much effect, though he is still buying crude in dollars in Nigeria anyway. Nigeria currently has 25 licensed modular refineries, and 5 of them are operating and producing diesel, kerosene, black oil, and naphtha. About 10 are under various stages of completion, while the others have received licenses to establish. Operators of modular refineries earlier stated that aside from the 5 that are in operation currently, the remaining plants are embattled due to the challenge of crude oil unavailability, a development that has stalled further funding from financiers. Refined petroleum products and agricultural food products and food imports constituted the major items imported by Nigerians into the country in the first quarter of 2024. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics have stated in a new report. This was as total imports for first quarter of 2024 stood at about 12.64 trillion naira, representing a 39.65% increase from 9.05 trillion naira in the fourth quarter of 2024 and a 95.53% rise from 6.47 trillion naira in the first quarter of 2023. While the import of raw materials by manufacturers gulped 1.5 trillion naira, citizens spent 920 billion naira to bring in agricultural goods. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, in its foreign trade statistics disclosed on Sunday. The NBS said China was Nigeria's top trading partner on the import side, contributing 23.18% of the total imports, and other significant import partners included India 8.46%, the United States 7.98%, Belgium 7.56%, and the Netherlands 4.68%. It also said that agricultural goods imported were valued at 920.54 billion naira, reflecting a 29.45% increase compared to 711 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2023 and a 95.28% rise compared to 471.39 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023. Similarly, raw materials imports by manufacturers stood at 1.47 trillion naira, a 51.78% increase from 966 billion naira in the fourth quarter 2023 and a 164% rise from 555.47 billion naira in the first quarter of 2023. Key imported commodities included motor spirits, ordinary, gas oil, dodrum wheat, cane sugar meant for sugar refineries, and other liquefied petroleum gases. The report added that in the first quarter of 2023, China ranked the highest among the top trading partners on the import side, followed by India, United States of America, Belgium, and the Netherlands. The most traded commodities were motor spirits ordinary, gas oil, dodrum wheat, cane sugar, meant for sugar refineries and other liquefied petroleum gases, and other gaseous hydrocarbons. In the recent past, there have been conflicting and contrary views by various stakeholders to open the border for the import of food products as a measure to curb surging inflation. Though President Bola Tinubu has refuted plans to permit food imports from neighboring countries, the government has set in plan a motion to suspend the payment of import duties on staple food items, drugs, and other essential items for an initial period of 6 months as a measure to curb inflation, and the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, informed journalists last week. In Nigeria, a food crisis looms large, challenging the nation's stability. Food prices have surged, with food inflation reaching 40.5%. Among the hardest hit commodities is rice, a dietary staple, and in the past year alone, rice prices have skyrocketed by 169%, reaching nearly 90,000 naira per bag in March and April. This sharp increase in food costs is placing immense strain on households across the country, exacerbating an already fragile economy. It's estimated that around 31 million Nigerians may face severe food shortages by August this year. As Nigerians expect premium motor spirit from Dangote Petrochemical Refinery this month, petrol marketers have started registering with the company ahead of loading the product, the press has learned. The marketers are registering as individual business owners, applying to get a direct fuel supply from the oil refinery. This is even as the Independent Petrol Marketers Association of Nigeria said it would continue talks with the company to get bulk supply for its members who may not be able to buy a large volume of petrol from the refinery. The president of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, last month disclosed that it will begin the sale of PMS in June, saying his refinery will end the import into Nigeria. When he was speaking with our correspondent in May, Fashola expressed happiness, saying that the Dangote refinery can satisfy our needs as far as petroleum products are concerned, especially petrol. The Ipman leader expressed the eagerness of marketers to start lifting fuel from the refinery, saying that we are all waiting. We are eager for the commencement of the lifting on petroleum products from Dangote refinery, especially petrol. The marketer stressed that the private refinery will put an end to fuel scarcity in Nigeria as the product will no longer be imported. Meanwhile, Fashola explained that Ipman as a body is yet to have an agreement with Dangote refinery on the supply of premium motor spirits, calling on the company to consider working directly with the association instead of individuals. In insurance, the gross 2.43% year-on-year to 367.66 billion naira in 2023, compared to 300.31 billion naira in the previous year. According to an analyst of their annual reports filed with the Nigerian Exchange Limited, the profits also appreciated by 177.57% to 68.94 billion naira from 24.83 billion naira. Earlier this year, the National Insurance Commission announced that the industry's premiums stood at 1,003 trillion naira in 2023, representing about 27% growth compared to 790 billion naira in 2022. The Commission, in a statement titled Market Performance at a Glance, fourth quarter of 2023, released by the Statistics Department of the Directorate of Research, Statistics and Publications, indicated that at the end At the end of 2023, the insurance sector achieved its lofty goal of generating 1 trillion naira in premium income, a target set 14 years ago. A breakdown of premiums showed that the non-life business accounted for 61.3% of all premiums written during the year, while the life segment contributed 38.7%, valued at 388.1 billion naira. The insurance firms whose financials were retrieved include ICO, Sovereign Trust Insurance, NEM Insurance, Veritas Capital, AXA Mansard, Prestige Assurance, International Energy Insurance, and Custodian Investment. A closer look at the results showed that ICO had the highest gross written premiums at 110.12 billion naira, higher than 88.28 billion naira in 2022, a 25% increase. Similarly, its profit rose by 133% to 12.02 billion naira from 5.17 billion naira. Sovereign Trust Insurance's revenue stood at 19.32 billion naira, 23% higher than 15.70 billion naira in the previous year. However, its post-tax profit declined by 8% to 1.27 billion naira on the back of higher insurance service and reinsurance contract expenses. NEM Insurance received about 62.71 billion naira as a premium from its 8 product lines, higher than 33.37 billion naira it got in the previous year, and its profits jumped by 140% to 12.96 billion naira from 5.40 billion naira in the previous year. Veritas Capital saw its gross premiums rise by 61.94% to 7.56 billion naira from 4.67 billion naira in 2022, as profits soared 286% year-on-year to 2.75 billion naira. AXA Mansard's insurance revenue stood at 82.75 billion naira in 2023 from 69.22 billion naira in the prior period, while its post-tax profits rose to 12.05 billion naira from 2.53 billion naira in 2022. The firm's claims paid for the year increased to 39.69 billion naira from 31.42 billion naira in the previous year, and Prestige Assurance in the year under review say its gross premium rose to 14.88 billion naira from 12.44 billion naira in 2022, and its profit after tax hit 1.31 billion naira in the previous year. International Energy Insurance's PLC premium jumped by 481.67% to 518 in 1 year, 513 billion naira in 1 year, driven by direct premiums from one segment of its business, motor insurance, which stood at 4.81 billion naira. The company's post-tax stood at 5.58 billion naira, higher than 232.9 million naira in the previous year, while the claims paid during the period also went up to 740 million naira from 181.10 million naira in 2022. Custodian Investments, which is a holding company with subsidiaries including Custodian and Allied Insurance Limited, Custodian Life and Assurance Limited, Crusader Sterling Limited, Crusader Trustees Limited, UPDC PLC. They recorded the highest profit of 21.01 billion naira, higher than 8.89 billion naira in the previous year. its gross premium for 2023 stood at stood at 65.19 billion naira, about 14% lower than 75.75 billion naira of last year. The Pan-African rating company Augusto & Co. in its report on insurance sector showed that the sector maintained its double-digit growth and the trend in 2023 as the estimated gross premium income exceeded the 11 trillion naira mark, driven by strong regulatory support and premium rate adjustments on some policies. Speaking on the report, the head of financial institutions ratings at Augusto & Co., Ayokunle Olubumi, said that what we say last year was aggressive risk pricing and repricing. What we saw previously was that the industry had not been pricing the risk appropriately. Also, we have seen an upsurge in the valuation of assets, which will translate to a higher level, a higher value of insured assets. Value of insured assets, and that drove it into the premium. After a 10-week dip of $1.8 billion, Nigeria's foreign exchange reserves have shown a steady increase over the past 6 days, indicating a recovery process for the economy's external reserve. According to the data obtained by press from the Central Bank of Nigeria website, on Sunday, the foreign reserve stood at 32.80 billion naira on June the 6th, 2024, indicating an increase of $110 million from $32.69 billion on May the 31st. This upward trend has been consistent over the past 6 days, with the reserve increasing only $32.74 billion on June the 3rd, to $32.77 billion on June the 4th, then $32.79 billion on June the 5th, before the current value. The steady increase in the foreign reserve is a welcome development for the Nigerian economy, which has faced challenges in the recent times, and the press has reported that the reserve has dipped by $1.8 billion between March 18th and March 29th, 2024. Sparking concerns about the country's ability to meet its financial obligations. However, increase suggests that the economy is on the path to recovery. Foreign reserve is a critical component of the country's economic health, as it serves as a buffer between the economic shoots and the provider of and provides the means to settle international obligations. With this steady increase, Nigeria's foreign reserve is expected to continue to grow, bolstering investor confidence and supporting economic growth. The press have reported that Naira rebounded against the United States dollar in the late March at the official and parallel markets, with the local currency recording a significant gain against the greenback at the black market. This came as the Central Bank of Nigeria announced the final settlements of all valid foreign exchange backlogs, fulfilling a key pledge of the Apex Bank Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, to process an inherited backlog of $7 billion in claims. You are watching ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network, right here in the city of Port Harcourt. We'll be back after the short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
dey jack us up and down like this now.
I hope nobody carry belle.
Why you ask o?
Because this road where they see so, it no guarantee safe delivery.
We just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey. Light o usa. The infrastructure nko, e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, spoil everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. We call you back.
That behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently. Make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Atn Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't booga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old things. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap am.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, nah. Then pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker. We would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time. Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Atn Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
My full-time pleasure to welcome you back on ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network. right here in the big business city of Port Harcourt. And now to the rest of our stories. But don't forget, we are on StarTimes channel 194 and you can view us live on YouTube. And going to the global markets. Asian markets were mixed on Monday after a job report released on Friday came in hotter than expected, while the euro fell after French President Emmanuel Macron dissolved the National Assembly following a setback in Sunday's parliamentary election. United States futures fell and oil prices rose. Markets in China, Hong Kong, Australia and Taiwan were closed for holidays. In Tokyo, the Nikkei 225 index was up 0.9% at 39,038 points after government data on Monday showed that Japan's economy contracted at an annualized 1.8% pace in January to March, an upward revision from the previously announced 2% drop. South Korea's Kospi slipped 0.4% to 2,711 points. And meanwhile, in Europe, far-right parties made major gains in parliamentary elections on Sunday, leading French President Emmanuel Macron to announce that he was dissolving the National Assembly and calling a snap legislative election. This caused the euro to drop to its lowest price in nearly a month. The euro was trading at $1.752 early Monday, down from $1.778. On Friday, the S&P 500 fell 0.1% to 5,346 points. The Nasdaq Composite slipped 0.2% to 38,798 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.2% to 38,798.99 points. United States employers added 272,000 jobs in May, up from April and more than economists expected. The reports also showed that unemployment rate rising for a second straight month, and overall that the signals continued in strength in the jobs market with some minor signs of weakening. The strong jobs market has supported consumer spending and the broader economy, but it has also been complicating the Federal Reserve's path ahead for interest rates. The yield on the 10-year Treasury jumped to 4.43% from 4.29% just before the jobs report was released. The 2-year yield, which more closely tracks expectations for the Federal Reserve Bank, jumped 4.89% from 4.74% prior to the report's release. Wall Street is hoping for at least one out of the Federal Reserve's benchmark interest rates before the year's end. The central bank raised its interest rates to its highest level in more than 2 decades in an attempt to cool inflation to its target of 2%. However, inflation has been stubbornly hovering around 3% after dropping sharply over the last 2 years. And a strong economy could keep fueling price increases, and a cooler economy can pull inflation lower and prompt the Federal Reserve to deliver the cuts to interest rates that traders desire. The danger is if the slowdown overshoots and turns into a recession, which could ultimately hurt stock prices. Economic data from last week hinted that the economy could be cooling. The latest report showed that manufacturing contracted in May. Worker productivity isn't as strong as economists thought, and job openings are dropping. Federal officials are expected to hold interest rates steadily at their meeting later this week. After the jobs report came out, investors took even more bets off the table that the Federal Reserve Bank will cut its rates at July meeting, according to data from the CME Group. Wall Street has also been monitoring earnings from retailers, which have shown that customers have been pulling back on items that aren't essential. Consumer spending has been on the main support for the economy, but stubborn inflation is hurting consumers, especially those with lower incomes. GameStop, the troubled video game retailer at the center of the meme stock craze, slumped 39.4% after reporting another quarterly loss and saying it planned to sell up to 75 million more shares. In other dealings, U.S. benchmark crude oil gained 20 cents to sell at $75.73 at the New York Mercantile Exchange. Brent crude, the international standard, was up 16 cents to sell at $79.78 per barrel. The US dollar rose 157.08 Japanese yen from 156.83 yen. And on to other stories internationally. The diesel price in Malaysia jumped by more than 50% on Monday as part of a revamp of decades-old fuel subsidies to tighten government spending and save billions of ringgits annually. The restructuring eliminates blanket energy subsidies and redirects them to the needy. They are part of economic reforms pledged by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, whose government says that they are needed to build a more sustainable economy and plug losses from smuggling cheap oil to neighboring countries. The plan is bold but risky for Anwar, who took power in 2022, as it may anger working-class voters struggling with rising cost of living. He announced the unpopular decision to cut fuel subsidies last month to give time to lower-income groups to prepare for the transition. All prime ministers before this had agreed on the targeted subsidy, but there was no political will to implement it because of the risk involved. However, to save the country, we have no choice. Anwar, who is also finance minister, was quoted as saying on Monday by National News Agency. The government eventually plans to follow suit with gasoline subsidies. Essentials including fuel, cooking oil, rice are heavily subsidized in Malaysia, which have strained national finances for years. The second finance minister, Amir Hamzah Azizan, announced on Sunday that the diesel price will rise to 3.35 ringgit, that's 0.71 cents a litre on Monday, up from 56% from its previous subsidized price of 2.15 ringgit, that's 46 cents. It says the price will be reviewed on a weekly basis to be aligned with market prices. The price hike will not apply to Malaysian states on Borneo Island and eligible logistic vehicles, he said. Lower prices previously set for fishermen and a wide fleet of land public transport vehicles such as school buses, taxis and ambulances will also remain unchanged. Monthly cash aid will also be given to eligible individuals with diesel vehicles, including farmers and commodity smallholders, the government has said. Officials said that the hike shouldn't lead to drastic price inflation as subsidies are still given to targeted groups. Despite the hike, Amir said that Malaysian diesel prices remain the second lowest in Southeast Asia after Brunei. Diesel costs 8.79 ringgit, that's $1.86 a litre in neighboring Singapore, and more than 4 ringgit, that's 86 cents, in most other regional countries. It is heavily subsidized at 1.09 ringgit or 23 cents in oil-rich Brunei. Amir said that the targeted subsidies will help cut the fiscal deficit, with the government expected to save at least 4 billion ringgit, that is 850 million US dollars annually. Malaysia's diesel subsidy bill has surged from 1.4 billion ringgit, that's $300 million in 2019, to 14.3 billion ringgit, that's 3 billion US dollars last year. Malaysia cannot afford to continue losing billions of ringgit due to widespread smuggling of diesel. The money is better spent on improving the people's quality of life and developing the country, Amir has said. The government of the Central African Republic has suspended the Chinese mining company's operations in the country, accusing it of cooperating with armed militias, a government decree said. The country's Ministry of Mines accused Danking SARL, a Chinese gold and diamond mining company, of intelligence with armed groups, illegal exploitation, illegal introduction of foreign subjects into mining areas, non-payment of taxes and lack of activity reports in the decree, which was made public on Saturday. Danking SARL operated in Mingala, a town in the south of Central African Republic that has been plagued by fighting between the country's armed forces and the Coalition of Patriots for Change, an anti-government armed group. The Central African Republic has been in conflict since 2013, when predominantly Muslim rebels seized power and forced the President Francois Bozize from office, and mostly Christian militias fought back. And the 2019 peace deal only lessened the fighting, and 6 of the 14 armed gangs and groups that signed the later left the agreement. The Coalition of Patriots for Change was founded in 2020 in the aftermath of the agreement, and the country remains one of the poorest in the world despite its vast mineral wealth of gold and diamonds, amongst others. Rebel groups have operated with impunity across the embattled country over the past decade, thwarting mining explorations by foreign companies. Many of those now operating in the country are Chinese-run and have faced security challenges. Last month, 4 workers were killed at the Chinese-run gold mine during an attack that the local government blamed on the Coalition of Patriots for Change. Last year, 9 Chinese nationals were killed at another gold mine in Central African Republic. The government blamed the attack on the same rebel alliance. In 2020, 2 Chinese nationals died when local residents led an uprising against a Chinese-operated mine in the south of the country. And dear viewers, this is where we wrap it up on this edition of ATN Business. Don't forget, we are still open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. Don't forget to stay connected on our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, or watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. I am your host, Raymond Ken Mbata, and peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.